Welcome back to Jenny's Tales. Tonight's story is about love, choices, and a mistake that came with a lifetime of regret. A woman once left the man who truly loved her, not because he was a bad person, not because he treated her wrong, but because he wasn't rich enough. She believed she deserved more. A better life, more comfort, more luxury. And then, she found it. A man with money. A life filled with expensive things. Everything she thought she ever wanted. But what she didn't know was that the choice she made that day would slowly destroy everything. Because sometimes, the life that looks perfect on the outside hides the darkest truth inside. And by the time she realized what she had lost, it was already too late. Emma Collins had always dreamed of a better life. Growing up in a small town, she had seen what struggle looked like. Bills that never seemed to end, parents constantly worrying, and a life that felt limited in every way. From a young age, Emma promised herself one thing: she would never live like that. She wanted comfort. She wanted security. She wanted a life where money was never a problem. And for a while, it seemed like life had taken her in a different direction. Because in her early 20s, Emma met Liam Parker. Liam wasn't rich. He didn't come from a powerful background, and he didn't have expensive things to offer. But what he did have was something rare. He was kind. He was patient. And he loved Emma in a way that was honest and real. He worked a simple job, earning just enough to get by, but every plan he made included her. Every dream he had her in it. He spoke about building a future together, step by step, no matter how long it took. And for a while, Emma believed in that future too. But slowly, something began to change. As time passed, Emma started comparing her life to others. Social media, friends, people around her, everyone seemed to be living a better life. Expensive dinners, vacations, new cars, luxury apartments. Things Liam couldn't give her. At first, she ignored those thoughts. But they didn't go away. They grew stronger. Every time Liam talked about saving money, about taking things slowly, about building a life step by step, Emma felt something inside her resist. It wasn't enough. Not anymore. And then, someone new entered her life. His name was Ryan Carter. Ryan was everything Liam was not. Confident. Successful. Wealthy. He drove expensive cars, wore designer clothes, and lived in a world Emma had always imagined for herself. Being around him felt different. Easier. More exciting. More complete. Ryan didn't talk about waiting. He talked about living now. And that was exactly what Emma wanted to hear. At first, it was just conversations. Casual meetings. Nothing serious. But the attention, the lifestyle, the feeling of being close to everything she had ever wanted, it slowly pulled her in. The more time she spent around Ryan, the more distant she became from Liam. Liam noticed the change. He saw it in the way she spoke, in the way she avoided conversations about the future, in the way her attention seemed somewhere else, even when she was right in front of him. But he didn't question her, because he trusted her, because he believed in what they had, and because he never imagined that one day he would be replaced by someone who simply had more money. The day everything changed was quiet. No arguments. No shouting. Just a simple conversation that carried a decision far bigger than it seemed. Emma looked at Liam and told him the truth. Not everything, but enough. She said she wanted a different life. A better life. A life he couldn't give her. Liam didn't try to stop her. He didn't beg. He didn't argue. He simply listened. Because sometimes, when someone has already made their choice, there's nothing left to say. And just like that, Emma walked away from the man who truly loved her, believing she was walking towards something better. Not knowing, she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. At first, everything felt exactly the way Emma had imagined. Ryan's world was fast, exciting, and filled with everything she once believed she deserved. Expensive restaurants, luxury apartments, weekend trips, designer clothes. Life moved quickly, and it felt effortless. There were no conversations about saving money. No worries about the future. No waiting. Just comfort. Just enjoyment. Just the kind of life Emma had always wanted. Ryan didn't hesitate to spend. He made decisions quickly, lived in the moment, and surrounded himself with people who did the same. Being with him felt like stepping into a completely different world. And for a while, Emma was happy. Or at least, she believed she was. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The life she once dreamed of became her reality. Photos of vacations. Perfect dinners. A lifestyle others admired. Everything looked perfect from the outside. But perfection rarely stays perfect. Slowly, small things began to change. At first, they were easy to ignore. Ryan was often busy. Calls that once came frequently started becoming less regular. Messages were sometimes left unanswered for hours. Plans were canceled at the last moment. Whenever Emma asked, the answer was always simple. Work. Meetings. Busy schedule. It sounded reasonable. After all, successful people have demanding lives. Emma told herself not to overthink it. But the feeling didn't disappear. It stayed, quietly. Then came something else. Ryan's behavior wasn't the same anymore. The attention he once gave so easily began to fade. Conversations felt shorter. His tone sometimes distant. The warmth that had once pulled Emma toward him slowly began to cool. The same man who once made everything feel exciting now felt unpredictable. One evening, Emma sat alone in the luxury apartment Ryan had given her. The city lights shone through the large glass windows. Everything around her looked expensive, perfect, exactly how she had imagined her life would be. And yet, something felt empty. There was no laughter filling the room. No genuine connection. No sense of peace. Just silence. For the first time, a thought crossed her mind. A quiet, uncomfortable thought. Liam. Memories she had pushed aside slowly began to return. Simple evenings. Long conversations. The way he listened. The way he cared without conditions. There had been no luxury. But there had been something else. Something real. Emma shook the thought away. She reminded herself of why she made her decision. This was the life she wanted. This was the better choice. This was success. But deep inside, a question had already begun to form. Was it really? Because sometimes, what looks perfect on the outside is only hiding what's missing on the inside. The feeling didn't go away. No matter how much Emma tried to ignore it, something inside her kept whispering that things weren't as perfect as they seemed. Ryan was changing. Or maybe, he had always been this way, and she was only now beginning to see it. The first Real crack appeared on a quiet evening. Emma had planned a dinner. Nothing extravagant, just something simple, something meaningful. She wanted to spend time together, to feel that connection again. Ryan arrived late. Not just a few minutes. Hours. And when he finally walked in, there was no apology. No explanation that felt real. Just a quick excuse, a tired tone, and a distraction in his eyes. His phone kept lighting up. Messages. Calls. He stepped away more than once, speaking quietly, making sure Emma couldn't hear. At first, she said nothing. But something inside her had started paying attention. Days later, another moment made things clearer. Emma was out shopping when she saw Ryan, across the street. He wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him. Close. Too close. They were laughing. Talking comfortably. Just like he used to with Emma. For a moment, Emma froze. Her heart sank, but her mind tried to find an explanation. Maybe it was business. Maybe a colleague. Maybe. But deep down, she already knew. That night, Emma asked him. Not aggressively. Not accusing. Just calmly. Who is she? Ryan didn't hesitate. A client. The answer came too quickly. Too easily. And just like before, he moved on as if nothing had happened. But this time, Emma didn't feel convinced. The pattern continued. Late nights. Unanswered calls. New names. New excuses. And slowly, the truth became impossible to ignore. Ryan wasn't just busy. He was distant. Disconnected. uninterested. One evening, everything became clear. Ryan's phone buzzed while he was in the shower. Emma wasn't the kind of person to check someone's phone. She never had been. But something about that moment, something about everything that had been building inside her, made her look. Just once. The message was short, but it said everything. Last night was perfect. Can't wait to see you again. Emma stared at the screen. Her hands went cold. Her heart dropped in a way she couldn't explain. There were more messages. Different names. Different conversations. All telling the same story. The truth hit her all at once. The man she chose for his wealth, for his lifestyle, for the life she thought was better, was living the same double life she never imagined. And in that moment, Emma realized something painful. She hadn't just lost Liam. She had traded something real for something that was never hers to begin with. The luxury, the comfort, the life she thought she had gained, suddenly meant nothing. Because sometimes, the biggest mistake isn't choosing the wrong person. It's realizing too late who the right one was. The truth didn't just hurt. It stayed. It followed Emma everywhere. The luxury apartment no longer felt beautiful. The city lights outside the window no longer felt exciting. Everything that once seemed perfect now felt empty, almost meaningless. Because now she understood. The life she had chosen was built on illusion. Ryan didn't even try to hide it anymore. After that night, his behavior changed completely. There were no more excuses, no more effort to maintain appearances. He came and went as he pleased. Sometimes he didn't return at all. And when he did, there was no warmth left. No care. No connection. Emma tried to talk to him. Tried to fix something that was never real to begin with. But Ryan made it clear. This is how things are, he said coldly. No apologies. No explanations. Just truth. A harsh, undeniable truth. Days turned into long, silent nights. Emma found herself sitting alone more often than ever before. Surrounded by expensive things. But completely empty inside. And slowly, her thoughts began to return to the past. To Liam. Memories came back in pieces. The way he used to look at her. The way he listened, even when she spoke about small, unimportant things. The way he made her feel safe. There had been no luxury. No expensive gifts. But there had been something she could now clearly see. Real love. The realization hit harder each day. She hadn't just made a choice. She had made a mistake. One evening, unable to ignore the feeling any longer, Emma made a decision. She picked up her phone. Her hands trembled slightly as she searched for Liam's number. For a moment, she hesitated. Because, deep down, she already knew things wouldn't be the same. But regret has a way of pushing people to try anyway. She called. The phone rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then, it stopped. No answer. Emma stared at the screen. A feeling of emptiness filled her chest. But she didn't give up. She sent a message. A simple one. Can we talk? Minutes passed. Then hours. No reply. For the first time, Emma felt what Liam must have felt the day she walked away. Waiting. Hoping. Getting nothing in return. The next day, she tried again. Another message. Another call. Still nothing. Days turned into a quiet realization. Liam had moved on. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But because he had accepted what happened and chosen to leave it behind. Emma finally understood something she had never fully realized before. Some doors, once closed, never open again. Sitting alone in the apartment, Emma looked around one last time. The life she had once chosen now felt like a reminder of everything she had lost. Not just Liam, but the version of herself that had once believed in something real. Because sometimes, regret doesn't come immediately. It comes later, when everything becomes clear, when there's nothing left to fix, and when the one chance that mattered the most is already gone. Time moved forward, even when Emma felt stuck. Days slowly turned into weeks and weeks into months. The apartment was gone. The luxury, the lifestyle, the illusion, all of it faded, just like it had appeared. Ryan disappeared from her life as easily as he had entered it. No goodbye. No explanation. Just absence. Emma was left with silence. And memories. Life became simple again. But this time, it felt different. Because now she understood the difference between having everything and having something real. She often found herself thinking about the past. Not with hope, but with understanding. Liam had offered a life that wasn't fast, wasn't flashy, wasn't perfect from the outside. But it was honest. It was stable. It was real. And she had let it go. Not because it was wrong, but because it wasn't enough for the version of herself she used to be. One evening, as the sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon, Emma sat quietly, watching the sky change colors. There was no noise, no distraction, just a calm silence. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't chasing anything. She wasn't comparing her life to others. She wasn't trying to prove anything. She was just thinking. Some lessons don't come with warnings. They come with loss, with silence, with moments where everything becomes clear, but too late to change. Emma didn't try to reach out again, because now she understood. Some people aren't meant to come back. They're meant to teach. And Liam had been a lesson she learned too late. The truth was simple. Money can build a life, but it cannot build love. Luxury can fill a space, but it cannot fill emptiness. And sometimes, the person who offers less is actually offering everything that truly matters. Emma closed her eyes for a moment, not in sadness, but in acceptance. Because the hardest part of life isn't making a choice. It's living with it. And some choices stay forever.